Welcome back to my fireside. Today's video is going to be following along from the last video about ethics and virtues in Esotur. Now, there has never been a codified version of ethics and morals in Norse paganism, but at the start of the 20th century, several groups and men have tried to indeed codify them, and this has come out as the 9 virtues of Norse paganism. Now, these come from readings of the literature such as the Havahamal and the Prose Edda, but of course these 9 virtues are still up for personal interpretation. For example, my previous video was my own interpretation of those same literary sources. So what I wanted to talk about was that these men and the groups they represented, they could be considered to be questionable and be of questionable ethics by today's standards. Now, both these groups, I'm not going to say which groups there are because the stigma of what I'm about to say, I don't want it to be attached to all their members regardless of their own affiliations. However, both the groups that these men have represented have been labelled as neo-Volkish. Now, the Volkish movement was a movement that began in the early 20th century, in the 40s, and was used by Nazi Germany as a basis for their tribalism, their nationalism, and their anti-Semitism. So, the first group I want to talk about were men who were used to be part of Oswald Mosley's British Fascist Union, or I believe it was a union of fascists. These were men who did have active links to the Nazi Party in the 40s and rubbed shoulders with various fascists from Italy, including El Duce Mussolini. The second person I want to talk about is an American named Stephen A. McNeilan, who created the term metagenics. And it was the belief that belief was passed down in the blood, and only people of a certain ethnic origin could be part of the paganistic community. If you're not white enough, you could not be a pagan. And he has been linked to white supremacists, and his group has been labelled as neo-Volkish and with links to neo-fascists as well as Nazis. He and his group have been aiming to use the personifications of Odin and Thor as the embodiment of white supremacy. Obviously, there are many pagan groups around the world who are against the neo-Volkish movement. However, it is because of this appropriation of ancient Scandinavian culture that when you see a white supremacist rally or a neo-Nazi rally these days, you will more than likely see a Esotur symbol or Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, emblazoned on some flag or someone's shirt. So what does this all mean? Well, first of all, it's not meant to be an attack on my fellow pagans. It is more of an acknowledgement, which I feel that everyone should do as part of their own belief systems, that we have to acknowledge that there are indeed dark parts and indeed dark histories to our own belief systems. They're not all perfect. No belief system is perfect. All belief systems have their own respective historical baggage and their own problems in today's world. So it is only by the acknowledgement of these problems that we can confront them and move on to a better tomorrow. Thank you for joining me by my fireside today. I can understand this particular video might be a bit more controversial, but it is indeed something that has been nagging at me for quite a while, because I've always seen these 9 virtues and wondered where they came from. Who were the people who made them, and what societies are behind them? Thank you for joining me by my campfire. I'm hoping that the next few videos I do will be on more lighter, easier, less controversial topics. And I hope to see you again.